Hello, innovators, entrepreneurs, and risk takers. Welcome to another episode of Web3 with Sam Kamani podcast. And today on this podcast episode, I am interviewing Laura from Gate Ventures, which is part of Gate.io exchange, soon to be known as Gate.com. She is here to share about her thesis, how she picks the founders that she should invest in. She has invested personally in over 50 plus startups as angel and a number of startups as a VC. So she shares her point of view as a venture capitalist and what she looks for in founders. So if you are a founder, then I think this is a must listen episode from you for you so that you can adapt your pitch. You can adapt your approach on how you approach VCs. There is just so much knowledge and insights hidden in this episode that you can implement to fill out your round, to approach VCs, to how you should build product, how you should pitch, as well as she shares what trends she's seeing in the industry and what things are overhyped or underhyped. So let's get into this conversation. And as always, nothing that we talk about here should be taken as investment advice. And as always, please leave a review or a comment on this episode after listening to it and share it on your social media. With all that out of the way, let's get into it. Hey, Laura, welcome to the show. It is an absolute pleasure to interview you here. And I have been really looking forward to this interview. So many things I want to talk about, especially I'm very familiar with Gate Ventures and Gate.io. So yeah, let's just get started. How did you get involved in all things Web3 and blockchain and crypto?
First of all, hi, Sam. Happy to be here. We're excited. One very quick announcement. We actually rebranded. So Gate.io is already Gate.com. That changed a month ago. Still, people are used to saying Gate.io, but we're actually Gate.com. We're going more mainstream, more international, and we're rebranding to a new name. And now answering your question, how we went, first of all, into crypto. So it all happened quite accidentally. I was in college, and that happened almost 10 years ago, like time flies. It was 2016. I was studying physics, and my classmates, super geeky, they started telling me about this magic internet money called Bitcoin. Unfortunately, I was a broke college student back then, and I couldn't convince my parents to sell the house, take the second mortgage, let's go all in crypto. I bought a little bit, and that got me excited. That got me interested. What is this magic currency of the internet? How does it work? And after I graduated, I was approached by one of the first ICOs that was literally probably like the third or fourth that was being launched. And again, I was out of college. I had nothing to lose. I was like, okay, why not? Why don't we try to help this ICO launch? I had a marketing background. I had a tech understanding. I understood what Bitcoin is. And back in the day, no one knew it. And we actually raised 7 figures in a couple of days. And that was when I realized, yes, this is the space I want to be at. And ever since, so for almost 10 years, I worked with probably more than 400 projects so far, anything from DeFi infrastructure to gaming. First as an advisor, helping projects to launch from the marketing perspective, then started my own agency. And so it happened that throughout the years, as I was serving my clients, I got a lot of tokens. And some of these tokens did quite well. And I realized, do I really want to be selling services or maybe I want to be investing? So I started as an angel investor, invest myself. I have more than 50 projects in my own personal angel investor portfolio. And again, some of them did very well. Some of them not that much, but I realized, hey, wow, I'm good at it. I can spot some trends. I can spot interesting narratives. I started with a few other friends, fund in Dubai called Illuminati Capital. Again, we invested a lot personally. It was mostly our own money. And then I met Gate. Back then, Gate, it was still .io team. I helped them with one of the events in Dubai. Actually, it was the flooded token. That token that made Dubai famous. I helped them host an event. I met a venture team. I met the founder. We're really connected. And when they decided to expand the venture side, they approached me, understanding how project can launch successfully. And of course, of my previous investment experience. And they invited me to join the venture side. And last year, around autumn, I joined first as principal at Gate Ventures, and then later also took a title within the exchange and some responsibilities, which is Chief Ecosystem Officer at Gate.com. And what I basically do is I find interesting projects we invest in.
Mhm.
help to scout them, help to go through the whole process. And once we invest, then help with post-investment portfolio management. So basically advising them on how to prepare for token launch, how to find the right advisors, how to prepare the token, the community. So anything from go-to-market perspective, that's my know-how. That's what I bring to the table, the companies we invest in.
Fantastic. What's the current investment focus or what's the thesis for Gate Ventures?
So right now, the whole investment climate really changed in the whole industry. Investors are looking for, rather than token deals, more equity deals. And they're looking for companies that generate the magical world revenue. Last few cycles, investors didn't care about that. As long as the tokenomics are solid, as long as they think the token will do well in launch, that's the most important thing. Thank God the industry is maturing. And now we're focusing very much on the revenue generating project that have user base, they have the client base, they have product people actually want to use. And it's not just about the token. When it comes to narratives, anything RWA, stable coins, DeFi, Web2 into Web3 payments is very interesting for us. We're looking for early stage projects with reasonable valuations. So basically anything below 30 million for early stage is something we'll look into. In last few cycles, we would see projects with just a white space valuing themselves hundreds of millions. Again, it's not the market anymore. Projects are not doing that well, and you need to make your valuation in accordance to the market trends. So low
Abs-
valuation, early stage experienced founders. As the market already matured, we'll look for founders who had previous experience in the venture side, so building something themselves
Yes.
or working for one of the top companies. We don't want founders who just are out of college, just with the first idea work, and then going more to accelerators. When someone who has experience working in the narrative they're building and have a track record of some sort of success within the space.
Fantastic. And my next question is around which verticals are you most bullish about for the rest of 2025?
What I'm gonna say is my own personal opinion and
Yeah,
not an investment advice.
exactly.
Uh, don't trust anything that you hear on the internet. And if something goes wrong, it's not my responsibility. So take everything with a grain of salt. I personally am bullish very, very much on anything robotics related. As right now, we have a huge labor shortage all around the world, and companies need higher productivity, and just workers cannot physically sustain that, and they shouldn't. So I really am bullish on companies that are building various type of robots for increased productivity and basically adding more workforce. That's number one. Number two, anything stable coins related, not necessarily stable coins themselves, but the stablecoin adjacent industries. That means industries that are benefiting from increase in stablecoins usage. As right now, this narrative is taking a life of its own. And we know crypto is here. It's going to stay. It's not going to go anywhere. And stablecoin is going to be a very big part of it. So anything payments related, anything on ramping, off ramping, anything basically that's going to be benefiting of stablecoin increase, also yield bearing products. As a lot of institutions are coming into the space, they see the returns that crypto industry is offering. Because usually in Wall Street, if you're outperforming S&P, which is around 8% a year, it's already incredible. It's already basically outperformance. You did amazingly. Whereas in crypto, with relatively low risk, of course, everything is risk, and again, not financial advice, you can get 20, 30%, which is 2-3 times more than what Wall Street is used to. And these are incredible returns for them. So anything with yield bearing is very interesting for me because I just see institutional adoption pumping that market. Number three, any consumer facing products that are bringing that as right now. The reason why we don't really have an altcoin season right now, we have a little bit of pump here and there, but it's not a proper altcoin season. Liquidity is too scattered around. We have too many project launchings. There are thousands of tokens launching every day, whereas in previous cycles, we might have a fraction of it. So there is no liquidity, and that liquidity just scattered around everywhere. So we need more people coming in. We need that liquidity injection. So bringing Web2 to Web3 is another very interesting narrative for me. And that could be consumer facing apps. Gaming is not very hot this season, but I believe if it would be an established game, again, very established user base business coming into Web3, that could be an interesting angle as well. So basically, anyone that has a large community, a large audience that is already matured in Web2, if they would bring that to Web3, that would be a very interesting angle for me to look into as well.
Oh, absolutely. I cannot agree more with everything that you said. That's exactly what I'm seeing as well. I talked with at least 5, 6 founders, some who have raised nothing and some who have raised hundreds of millions. And I'm seeing the same thing. And on the institutional side, I'm seeing a lot of them are going for yield bearing products or even stablecoin strategies that they are applying on staking, restaking, looping, all sorts of things. It all started with early interest in Bitcoin ETFs. And then they moved on to explore more and more. The most common pair they would trade is Bitcoin USD or something like that. And then they would learn more about it. And it's just that this cycle, it feels like it has been the onboarding of institutions, just like in 2020 and 21, it was the onboarding of gamers around the world and in the NFT crowd and the
Yeah.
artistic creative crowd. This cycle is firmly on the institutional side. That's how I feel. And then, of course, there are some pockets, as you say, altcoin, but then there's other factors going on. I feel like the altcoin season hasn't eventuated as much because there were a lot of investments that were made in the last 3, 4 years that are all getting unlocks now. Every month there is 3 to 5 billion of unlocks happening, so there's always a bit of a sell pressure on the altcoins. That, but 100% agree. How does Gate Ventures support its portfolio founders?
So when we talk about support of the portfolio, it can be in numerous ways. First of all, we're here to help our founders succeed in any shape, way, or form they need help. So if the founder has a specific challenge they cannot wrap their head around, they can come to us. We'll try to connect them with the right experts or mentors from our space. But if we're talking about more tangible things, so that could be introduction to the right partners. When we host events, all around the world, we co-host events with our portfolio companies. For example, we'd have events during, let's say, Token. We'd invite all our portcos to be there as well. We host MAs, we host Twitter spaces, we invite them all the time, talk about what they're building. We also invite Gay.com account to join. So there's a very big reach. Gay.com account has 2 million followers and they come into the space as well. So the reach is quite insane. If the founders are building something and they want to partner up with Exchange, we can also help connecting with the right people within the Exchange and help to facilitate some sort of either integration or co-marketing campaign. Again, it very much depends on the project, but as the Exchange has a very large potential user base and client base and just a channel for distribution, we can partner up on that. Again, it's very much case by case basis depending on the project. Moreover, we help them sometimes even connecting with VCs. So one of the big parts of my job is connecting with other VCs in the market to understand where the market is going, to get a related deal flow. If I have some of my portfolio companies that we are already invested in fundraising or something that we are coming in at the current round, I'll share it with my fellow VCs as well. Say, hey, look, this is an interesting company. We invest in this company. If you want to take a look, I'm happy to do the introduction. So we also help them out meeting the right VCs. If they need KELs, we have large database of KELs. We have a lot of relationship with KELs. We can help with that. So it's very much case by case basis, depending on the project. But if they come to us with some sort of request, we're here to help them facilitate that.
Fantastic. And over so many years, you would have met a countless number of founders, and you'd have met good founders and not so good founders, or founders that have gone out to build amazing things, whether it's in your portfolio or outside your portfolio. Are there some key characteristics of the founders that go on to become winners?
So when it comes to the founders and those who I would say, first of all, that would be a founder that has previous experience within the space. Track record is very important. You have to be a founder or serial entrepreneur. You could have worked in a company within the space. If it's someone who has zero crypto experience starting to crypto business, I would really need to take a look and understand why they're coming into the space and what's their competitive advantage. So experience. Number two is putting in the effort, hustling, understanding like a founder life is a very hard life. You need to be emotionally ready for it. It's long hours, long weekends, life on the plane, hopping from conference to conference. It's not a glamorous life. Sometimes you can see that on Instagram. If you want 9 to 5, get a 9 to 5 job. It's definitely not being a founder. So then being emotionally ready for that. Number three is understanding the space that you're building in and the narrative. I want to come on a call with a founder and be taught something. I want to come because, again, as I've been in the space for almost 10 years, I maybe know a thing or two about a lot of narratives and a lot of things that are happening in the space. But if the founder comes and educates me on something that I didn't know about like a specific niche, that's very good. I mean, they know it a lot, because if I come on a call and I know more about the space, about their competitors than a founder, that's definitely a red flag. And I had these instances a lot when a founder pitches me and I'm like, okay, it's amazing what you're building, but company X is doing something similar. How are you going to compete on that? They're like, oh, really? There's this company. I'm like, yeah, and that company's in the space for the last 3 years. So you
Yeah.
should know about it. So being an expert. If you're building something, you have to be an expert in that particular narrative. Number 4 is a visionary and a doer. A visionary is someone who is a little bit sometimes in the clouds, but has incredible vision, incredible salesperson who can just sell the vision to everyone. You want someone who can just captivate you by how they're talking about the problem. Someone who is just incredible at storytelling, incredible at gathering people around to believe in his vision or her vision. And the second person should be a doer, someone who can come and take this old grand vision and put in a very clear process, box of what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, by when. So when we have this combo of founders, sometimes it can be CEO, CTO, or CEO, COO, or just two founders, it's incredible. I always want a visionary and the doer combo together. It's hard to find both in one person, but sometimes that's the case as well. Moving forward, when I look into founders, I also look into their product and how unique is what they're building, or what is their unique value proposition that they have. If you're building another DEX, I'll ask, why do we need another DEX? Not this time on Solana, but let's say on Polygon. Like, we probably don't. What are you building? How unique it is, or how different or how better it is than anything else in the market. And it can a little bit faster, a little bit cheaper, a little bit nicer UX is not the answer. You
Yeah.
have to have a very strong difference to whatever is in the market, or you have to serve a specific small niche that wasn't just served before. And you have to understand your challenge very well. And another important thing is, again, depending on the stage which you're raising, you need to show me traction. If you're at a very early stage, your traction can be letters of interest. It can be verbal agreements. You can provide me even screenshots of your potential customers saying, yeah, if you build this, I will be using it. But I want to see some sort of traction. And I believe that when you're a founder, before you invest hundreds of thousands of millions into developing some sort of tech, whatever you're gonna build, you need to spend a couple of months validating your idea from your potential customer clients. I want to see, if you're a B2C business, I want to see an email database of 1,000 people saying, yes, I want this business. I want to see Telegram with people like, yes, we want to use it. I want to see some sort of traction before you even start building the tech, because getting traction is much cheaper than building an MVP. So traction is very important. Early stage, it can be LOIs. In the later stage, it should be actual customers, registrations, community members who come there for the product and not for just whatever incentive.
Not for the airdrop or not for the token.
Exactly. Because we check this thing. Also, never ever buy fake followers on Twitter. We know how to check engagement. We check Twitter score. We check all of these things. So and we'll just pass on you. And you're gonna ruin your reputation. So it's better to have a smaller community, but actual genuine community, than have hundreds of thousands of followers that are fake, or they're there just for the airdrop that they're gonna sell the second they're gonna get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, 100%. Completely agree with what you said. When I look at our industry, I feel like there are a few things that have got really good product market fit. And I'm not talking about one like a particular startup, but just the genre of product. So for store of value, Bitcoin is excellent. For things like trading and all those sort of things, centralized exchanges, they've built amazingly large businesses. And for transfer of value, stable coins completely dominate this space. Hundreds of millions of people use them around the world. What other things like these type of general concepts, not a project name, that you feel are at the cusp of product market fit in our industry? Or what will be the next thing that will get this level of product market fit?
Well, it's a very good question. If I would know that, I would probably be sitting right now and pouring my money there. But as I mentioned before, anything that's going to bring Web2 to the three is going to be the most important thing. What we have 10, 20, 30 million active degen people, realistically. We're not talking those passive ones who just have stable coins, maybe they bought Bitcoin on the Robinhood account. We're talking those who are degens who understand Uniswap, who have done like very much DeFi active people, a couple of tens of millions probably around the world. And this is not clear statistics. I'm taking it out of my hand, so please don't quote me on this. It's a very small amount number. And when all the businesses are fighting among those tens of millions of people, in the end, the user wins, but the business not. So we need to build a very clear channel how we will bring more TradFi people, regular moms and pops to crypto. And that could be very clear, easy to understand UX UI. It could be simplification, or because crypto is still very complicated to use. It could be some sort of interesting incentives for them to come and try it out and then stay. So anyone who's going to figure this thing out is going to be the next business I'm definitely going to be betting. So bringing the liquidity, bringing the people from Web2 to Web3 and making them understand why they need it. So making incentives for them to test it out. And also very easy UX UI. When we talk, for example, about the meme craziness that happened almost like a year ago, I bet you all of us tried to buy some sort of meme using your Phantom wallet. You would go either to Pump, you would use Radium. How many times Radium crashed? How many times would buy something and would see it on the wallet, but the front end wouldn't show? How many times we had simple technical difficulties of buying some sort of altcoin that's not on a centralized exchange? Probably every time. Or slippage would inflate the price. Like it would be all issues. If we bring regular people in, they see some sort of bug, they're going to leave. We, being a little bit more degen, we understand there's always going to be a bug. But if it's the first time someone interacting with the space, they'd be like, yeah, no, I don't want to do it, because they're all used to banking level of smoothness of transactions. So we need to have very good UX UI, very clear user experience without any issues, without any lags. The best example from Web2 space is Revolut Back. I had the pleasure of working with Revolut back in my day. I did a fireside chat with Nikolai, the CEO. And the reason why Nikolai built this huge unicorn, because people were done with banks. They wanted something easy, nice, beautiful to use. Revolut came, I'll give you the app, I'll give you the beautiful UX UI, I'll give you the simplicity of use. Everyone loved it. And that's why they're a unicorn right now. They're probably going to be doing an IPO as everyone's talking about it. So we did that in crypto. And the problem is with a lot of financials that we have within the space, they're archaic, they're hard, they're complicated. There is no easy onboarding. And again, from my previous life working with clients, the biggest churn would be during the onboarding process, because it would be just so complicated to do. So I'm betting on someone who is going to create something easy, simple to use, and bring Web2 to Web3.
100%. We need abstraction in this space. We need to abstract out all the complexity and make it really simple so everyone can onboard and use it and have useful products. If a early stage founder is pitching to Gate Ventures, what recommendation or suggestions do you have for an early stage founder?
So first recommendation is read my last LinkedIn post that I'm going to send to you, and you can link it somewhere here. I have prepared an ideal formula on how to pitch for VC, because I get so many messages every day, and the message sometimes is just bad. Because when you pitch the founder, as a founder to the VC, you want to save your time, you want to save their time, and you want to be straight to the point. I wrote this LinkedIn post, I think everyone should read it, is what should a perfect pitch look like? And that should be, first of all, what you're building, what's your narrative, one sentence, what's your evaluation, at how much you're raising, how much do you have, who's on your cap table, who was on your previous rounds, very concise information. Then you want to talk about your previous team experience. Where have you built something successful? Where have you been part of that was successful? And why do you have unique knowledge to build whatever you're building? You need to talk about that. Then you need to give me 1 or 2 sentences that's something you can really brag about. Your best win, your best success, whatever you're building. Like you already have 1 million people in the pre-launch email list, or you already have 5 best KOLs that are ready to promote your product for your charge. What do you have that's so unique and so successful about you that you just really want to brag about? You put that. And you also add, and that's case by case basis, but you also add why you're raising the money, for what you're raising the money. And you have this clear kind of a pitch in this format. It's going to make your life easier. It's going to make VC's life easier to skim through the message and understand if it's a fit, it's not a fit. Would you need to continue the conversation or not? And it sounds obvious. It sounds counterintuitive. Some of the messages I get with pitches, I'm just appalled. You would get message like, hi, Laura, I'm building something incredible. Let's hop on a call. That's just not respecting their time and my time. And that's when I was like, if a person who's sending me on LinkedIn based on their experience seems senior and seems very established, I would write them as, hey, can you just send me the blurb? My time is limited. I
Exactly right.
basically giving out 30 minutes of my day. I have 60, during my working hour of 8 hours, I have 16, 30 minutes plus for calls. I
Yes.
have to go through around 100 pitches per week. I physically don't have time to talk to everyone. I respect their time. I respect my time. Let's be concise. Let's be straight to the point. If it's a fit, we're going to have a call. If it's not a fit, that's fine. There may be other VCs I can refer to. But if you're cryptic and if you're not clear with your first message, I might skip it. And a lot of VCs just skip it, ignore it, because it shows that you're not valuing their time.
That is such good advice. Yeah. And I completely agree with that as well. It's give a short blurb on why someone should listen to you,
Yes.
what's in it for them, what opportunity it is, why it is underrated, and what's your differentiation, and something about your traction, why you are at the cusp of making it the next big thing, and how it matches. Also, do some research on the VC's thesis that it doesn't match their thesis. Talking about VCs, my next question is what's one underrated trend in crypto that you think that most VCs are ignoring right now?
That's a good question. I think the VCs are smart enough to look at the most popular trends right now. I think the trend that is overrated is definitely anything AI agent related. And anyone who is investing in that is not doing justice for their LPs.
100%. Every time I turn a rock, I come across another startup doing AI agent. Everything is
Yeah. So everything AI agent related is definitely overrated. I talk to VCs every day. I hear so many different opinions. One thing I definitely think that's very interesting, not everyone can invest in, is defense. We live in
Yes.
a very uncertain time, so anything defense
Yes.
related. And there are some crypto projects building within defense, especially on forensics. On-chain forensics is very interesting, but defense is a bit a sensitive subject for certain funds. Anything gamify related, especially when it comes to regulated industries like sports betting, is very interesting. We don't invest in that, but I believe there are a lot of interesting projects building in it. I think Gamblify as well, very interesting. I would say these are a couple more maybe problematic industries not everyone's touched, but there's definitely a lot of opportunities there.
That is true. I feel like the one thing that you mentioned right when we were starting the podcast around robotics, and I feel like not many, this is slightly maybe outside of Web3.
Just had crypto a little bit.
Has little bit, but robotics is going to be huge. And I don't know if you're following unitary robots. They are amazing. I want to get a dog. I just have to convince my wife that we'll have a robot dog. So once I can do that, in compared to Boston Dynamics, they are 1/20th or 1/30th of the cost. Instead of spending 60,000, you can do it for 1,600 or $2,000. You can have a pet dog that will follow you around, that will carry your groceries. You can go for a walk with it, and you don't have to feed it. And that it's like it's amazing. It's gonna be very big. And I've interviewed some really interesting founders who are building either operating systems for robots or, and once again,
It's interesting.
I feel like that is going to be very big.
You
I
know
think
what's also very interesting? DeSci space, decentralized
yes.
science. That's, I think, something that's not talked a lot about. I did one panel back in Singapore about it, and I was very fascinated how much now is spent on academia and how inefficient some of the practices are, and how can crypto help it with verification of data, with data storage, with even using AI for quickening some of the research that is being done, especially for drug discovery is very interested. I know how crypto plays in it, but it's again another industry a little bit outside crypto that is very fascinating for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And my personal thesis is that we always get hardware innovation first and then software innovation follows that, just like whether we had to get mobile phone with cameras so
Yeah.
Instagram can be
Yeah.
done, and we have the chips and the processing power so we
Yes.
can have the blockchain and all those. So yeah, I completely agree with that. Coming back to Gate Ventures, what's your plan for the next 1 or 2 years? So that's my second last question.
Yes. So within the next couple of years, I definitely want to see get venture investing more actively into projects, not just in Asia, because now majority of our projects come from Asia, but from Europe and US. I see a lot of interesting projects coming out of UK, especially TradFi companies are going into crypto. So I think that's going to be a very interesting angle. We're going to be looking into US market is opening. So there's, again, a lot of interesting builders that are building interesting things. I definitely see us focusing more on early stage founders that we can help and not incubate, but really handhold them throughout the process. I'm personally super excited about that. I'm also interested in academia. What do people in top Ivy League as well as European top university are building? So I'm definitely going to be looking a lot into that. But yeah, just finding the next big builder before the project is valued at 100 million.
Yes.
That's the goal.
Fantastic. That's very cool. And so my final question is that, so do you have a ask is what are you looking for? Are you guys hiring on the Gate Ventures side? A lot of like VCs, they have fund one, fund two, fund three, and they
Yes.
are often raising from LPs. Are you guys doing that? Whatever your ask is, please feel free to share with the community.
Well, what I'm really happy if you're building something interesting that is reasonably priced, you have experience in the space, and you see a challenge that is so big that you cannot live without not solving it. My DMs are open on Twitter. Feel free to reach out in your pitch, and who knows, maybe we're gonna be the next VC on your cap table.
Fantastic. That is really good to hear. And with all that, I'd like to say it's been an absolute pleasure talking with you. I love your thesis and I love how Gate Ventures is doing things and supporting builders in this space, and completely agree with your vision of the future of where this whole space is going. So thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Sam. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for tuning in and listening or watching this episode of the Web3 with Sam Kamani podcast. By now, you know the drill. Leave a comment or share this episode with a friend and leave a review. I would love to hear from you. So that's why my DMs are open. Reach out to me, especially if you are a founder building a product in Web3. Then I would love to hear from you. What are your challenges? Is there anything that I can help you or my community can help you with? Thank you once again and wish you best of luck in building your startup or your project.